Welcome to Whatever Happened to Pizza at McDonald's, the investigative journalism program, or IJP, where I ask the question, whatever happened to the pizza at McDonald's? A proud part of the Pizza Plea Network. I'm your host, Brian Thompson. This week saw the release of a new fact-based film entitled The Trump Prophecy. It tells the story of retired Florida firefighter Mark Taylor, who, while watching a television appearance by Donald Trump in the year 2011, received a message from God stating that Mr. Trump would be elected President of the United States. You are probably saying to yourself, that sounds quite fascinating. I have two relevant questions. Question number 1, what does this have to do with McDonald's pizza? And question number 2, how can I attend a screening of The Trump Prophecy? Thank you for asking yourself these questions of me. I will begin by answering the latter. Unfortunately, as of the time of this recording, you cannot attend a screening of The Trump Prophecy. It was presented as a limited theatrical release by the company Fathom Events, which streams programming to movie theaters that primarily appeals to niche audiences. For example, opera performances and animated Japanese films about little boys with muscles. To answer your former question, The Trump Prophecy has a great deal to do with McDonald's pizza. Acting President Donald Trump has made it known that he is a great fanatic of McDonald's food. Previously on this program, I traveled to the summer White House in Washington, D.C. to obtain an audience with Mr. Trump and persuade him to use his vast executive powers to bring back McDonald's pizza. My attempt was thwarted by the Secret Service. At the time, I found this inexplicable, but I have since read the new book by my colleague Bob Woodward, in which he documents several occasions in which members of the deep state have secretly stolen items from Mr. Trump's desk in an effort to keep him from, for example, launching a war with Norway. Thus, it seems likely someone removed a note regarding my requested audience by accident. I forgive the error. Even before this trip to Washington, D.C., however, I had called a national prayer line to seek spiritual support in my quest to discover whatever happened to McDonald's pizza. This was shortly after the U.S. presidential election, and what my prayer coach told me is, in retrospect, quite intriguing. Which do you believe is God's candidate?
Me personally?
Yes.
For this season, I believe that it is Donald Trump.
Really? Why is that?
There's been several prophecies that have been given regarding the next president, what they would do. And he was the one that fit the description for that.
The prophecy in question did not come from Mark Taylor, the firefighter whose life provided the basis for the film The Trump Prophecy, but instead from a gentleman named John Paul Jackson, who appeared on a religious television program in his capacity as a dream interpreter. A caller to the show recounted a dream wherein a bulldozer destroyed the summer White House, and Mr. Jackson interpreted this to mean Donald Trump would be elected president. As far as I am aware, Mr. Trump has never dozed a bull, but the fact remains that he was elected to the presidency by almost as many votes as his chief competitor. Between these two Trump prophecies, it is clear that God, Father of my Lord and Savior Jesus ben David, occasionally sends visions of the future to his most devout followers. It would greatly improve my morale and the morale of the American people if God would grant me such a vision of the return of McDonald's pizza. One problem. I dream of the return of McDonald's pizza all the time. How am I to know whether these are simply dreams or messages from the Almighty? For answers, I turn to the experts.
Welcome to the Grace Hour, the live international talk radio ministry of Greater Grace Church in Baltimore, Maryland. You can join us on the air today by calling 1-800-338-7060 or 410-483-3700 from outside of the United States. Now, here is our host. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Grace Hour here on WRBS. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to have a great devotional from Pastor John Love. So maybe we have a caller there, do we? Let's see. Would you like to take that call?
Sure,
from
Brian.
Yeah.
He's joining us. We're not really sure. Brian, are you joining us from the West Coast?
Yes, I'm joining you from Los Angeles, California.
Wonderful. Great to have you with us. Go right ahead.
Thank you. I was just wondering, I need some advice. Sometimes I think that maybe God is sending me a message, but I just don't recognize his voice. And I was wondering how I know when God is speaking to me.
Good question. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'm not, you're not speaking about the fact that he's talking audibly to you, right?
Well, I'm not sure. I've been hearing a lot lately about God delivering messages to people. Specifically, there's this movie that just came out called The Trump Prophecy about a gentleman who received, I believe, an audible message from God telling him that Donald Trump was going to be elected president. So I was just wondering if God is going to send me a message, a prophecy or some such, how would I recognize his voice?
Well, good question. And I would begin, and Pastor Aidan, we can add to this, sure, Brian, by saying that you know that God is speaking to you when you open the Scriptures. Because you can be sure of this. He is not going to speak to you in a way that is going to contradict what he's spoken to all of us through the Scriptures. So God definitely speaks to us through the Scriptures. Now, you mentioned something about somebody was spoken to and said that Donald Trump was going to be president. Well, years ago, I met Donald Trump in New York City, and I didn't get such a message. I would never have guessed in all my life that he would be president. But yet here he is, president of the United States. So that's a little out of the ordinary. I'm not saying that God wasn't in it.
I see. Well, do you believe that these people who received this message from God were receiving a false message, maybe from some other spiritual force, or was God just perhaps pulling their leg?
Well, Again, I can't comment on it because I don't know the person and I don't know the set of circumstances. It could be that maybe he got that impression and he was right, or he could have just got, very lucky. I don't know. I mean...
Yeah, okay. I will consult the book Bible. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the call.
I have begun listening to the unabridged audiobook of Bible and will report any mention of McDonald's pizza. Today's episode of Whatever Happened to Pizza at McDonald's is brought to you by Fathom Events. Have you or your friends worn out your VHS tapes of animated Japanese films about little boys with muscles? Fathom Events has not worn out their VHS tapes. Using the latest technology, they will even stream images from these tapes onto a screen at your local movie theater. What's more, their screenings include bonus content, such as interviews with animators who explain how they draw all those muscles. Fathom Events. Keep up with the Muscle Boys. Thank you for listening to Whatever Happened to Pizza at McDonald's, a proud part of the Pizza Plea Network. Do you know what happened to pizza at McDonald's? Do you remember it? Please send all correspondence to pizza@mcdonalds@gmail.com. Visit our attractive website at www.pizza@mcdonalds.com. You will also find links to our Twitter and Instagram pages, as well as to our Teespring store, where you may purchase quality Whatever Happened to Pizza at McDonald's merchandise. To provide financial support, visit patreon.com/pizza@mcd's, or to make a one-time donation, use our PayPal email address, pizza@mcdonalds@gmail.com. I'm Brian Thompson.